What's good? I'm back. One and only Paul Masson, another live from Fayettenam Friday, and we got a special guest. So let me introduce him properly. Let me tell y'all a quick story. Back in the days, we used to go to Paradise Records. This was the 90s when you bought cassettes, and we bought a lot of records. And I think one Tuesday we went, and there wasn't a lot of new albums released, and we saw this album of this white guys that looked like they was mobbed up, but they was in the hip hop section. And back then there wasn't really a lot of white, all white hip hop groups out really at all, man. And we didn't know much about them. I don't think we knew nothing about them. I don't think we heard a song. We picked up the album, checked it out, and then we became fans. And that album was from Lordz of Brooklyn. So let's bring on the one and only actor slash rapper, Paulie Nugent, aka Paulie two times, from Lordz of Brooklyn.
What's
Paulie, how you doing, man?
how you doing, Paul Masson? We shall serve no fine wine before it's time. I don't know if anybody knows that one, but that was from the old Paul Masson wineries for the wine
Oh man.
drinkers out there. Yeah, how you doing, bro? Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, man. I'm definitely a fan. I remember like when we first copped the album, we seen y'all guys and we was like, yo, who does these mobbed up looking white guys, yo? And we didn't hear
Yeah,
no
man.
singles or nothing at the time, and we just saw the album, picked it up, and we were fans.
Well, I appreciate that. On behalf of the whole LOB mob, we appreciate that as well. Mr. Caves, Add Money, Dino Bots, Scotty Edge. Peace, my fam. They out there. But more importantly, shout out to you and the gang that you were running with, and you guys saw that. Where you at? Where's your hometown that you found that in the record bin? Where's this at?
Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Fayetteville, NC. All right, North Kakalaka. Yeah, we did a few shows down that way, as a matter of fact. It's funny that you brought that up because, yeah, man, back then in 1995, there was like what the big two, big three at that time of like white boy rap groups.
Yeah,
You got
yeah,
the Third Base and Beasties and House of Pain, right? I mean, other than that, and again, there was no internet. You know what I mean? So you couldn't have seen or read about anybody or heard their shit prior to that, unless you were in a record pool. And
yeah,
not too many people, were in record pools other than DJs, obviously, right? But also too, there was a bit of gatekeeping going on back then, as now and as then. It just the gates never change. It's just the property moves. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we faced a lot of adversity to say the least. You know what I'm saying? But thanks to Caves and Ad Money, we had some right connections and we persevered and we made a dope product, especially for back then. You know what I mean? Because we were
yeah,
trying to not sound like the Beastie Boys. So that's the other thing. Back in those days, I like to come out the gate running, but back in those days, you couldn't sound like nobody else. You had to
yeah, yeah,
sound unique. You had to have your own. Now, most of them people and groups and acts, they got their sound from the producer if he wasn't already baked into the group. But other than that,
mm,
you had to distinguish yourself by what you look like, obviously, with the skin color. Duh, that's a no brainer. But like coming off on the Bronx Tale look, the fucking the mob look, because I had already shot Bronx Tale in '92.
yeah. Okay.
So when it came out in '93, we were still shopping deals in '92 and '93. When I joined the groups, I go back with Caves and Adam since I'm 10 years old from the neighborhood. So I was always into all kinds of shit, acting. I'm a drummer. I've been playing the drums since I'm 12. So I was always into music, acting, sort of mixed BMX, freestyle, flatland. So I was always in some sort of shit through them. They were the older cats, a couple of years older than me. I wanted to be
Yeah.
like them. Long story, even longer. After the Brownsdale thing, Cade saw that look, and he's like, "Yo, we gotta come out to the world looking like this to set us apart even more." Because initially we were a graffiti group and a graffiti. Shout out to
Okay.
anybody that's ever saw a videograph. Shout out to Artifacts too, but most people don't realize we were on deck first. And I'm not gonna say no names, not the rappers, not the group guys, but the people behind them saw what Cage was doing because he's a graffiti legend, and he saw the package he put together and was shopping. Because a lot of people realize, again, you had to shop deals, man. You had to literally pound the pavement, knock on doors, show people my shit. I got it with this. Here's the hat. Here's the tape. It comes in the thing I made that looks like a train car. You know what I mean? You had to have the whole full package. Like, you know what I mean? Like proof of concept
Yeah.
sort of shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna say nothing, but some people heard of that and they beat us to the punch coming out on that graph shit, which we were supposed to be the fucking gritty, ducky boy, white boy graph dudes. Cave's quick thinking on his feet. So the Bronx Tale came out. I was a part of that movie. He's like, nah, you know what? They want to fucking play games. We're gonna flip it on them totally and come out rocking the Rocky hats and the leather jackets and that whole look. But if you listen to the lyrics and everything, that shit's straight hardcore '90s Brooklyn b-boy graffiti,
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
culture. Everybody talks, there's the culture, remember? No, no, no. We had every element we mastered back then, 30 some odd years ago. Okay.
yeah,
So for us, it was always trying to, not trying, but always we had to sound apart from that. We had to go, if everybody's going this way, we got to go that way. You know what I mean? Because that was the only thing that made you stand out. Nowadays, you could come out sounding like insert rapper here, sounding like your favorite rapper, and you can get deals or whatever. I don't even think they do deals anymore. I don't even know. I'm so
not
removed from it,
really,
but
not really.
you know what I mean? Yeah. But that was kind of where where we really got our tracks as far as like traction, not tracks, boom boom, you
Yeah,
know what I mean, like so and then once we got into the game and then we were released on a major, because it took us a few years to get that major label release that you guys picked up in your record store in North Carolina, Fayetteville. Shout out Fayetteville,
yeah,
everybody. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? I'm old and burnt, too much ganja. I only smoke cigars. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was our only way to get out there was through the main machine. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And, you couldn't sound like anybody else. You get laughed off stage if you sounded like anybody. If we came out trying to sound like, and they tried to put us in the House of Pain, Cypress Hill box, because everybody's got to have that. Shout out to those guys and everybody that helped us along the way from Soul Assassins on through. You know what I mean? But like, we couldn't just come out, have Muggs produce it. You know what I mean? Or come out, have
yeah,
Lethal produce. You know what I mean? Like, we had Ad Money. We needed to sound like us. And Ad Money is the illest producer I've ever heard. I learned so much production wise from him that I took with not only my music knowledge of actually playing, but being around him and watching him behind the SP12. You know what I mean? Behind the Akai 950. That was, you know what I'm saying? Like these things, it's crazy how I look back at this shit. We were really all in. And like, you had to, like, let's just say, I bring it to you, and you're like, I love this shit. Paul, come
hmm
on, we're going to bring you in the studio. Okay, that's first gate, right? Now I got to bring everything that you heard on that cassette. I got to bring that to your studio and recreate it all over again. And then if you get a producer in, or you know what I mean, an executive producer or somebody with the knowledge of the boards, and shout out to all the dope engineers, Adam Gazzola, Sam Sever, shout out my guys. We were under the tutelage of guys like that when we would remake not only the demo, but take it the next step further when you have a production ear sitting in, you know what I mean? People like, like Burt Bacharach, you know what I mean? Or Wall of Sound, my guy, what was his name? The crazy dude, Phil Spector. Like, it's one thing to get into the studio, then you got to let those dudes work the magic of the project you already have. And you got to be open-minded, and you got to, you can't, no, it's got to sound like this. Nah, there's none of that. It is the big time, bro. You want this shit to come out or not? You know what I mean? Then
yeah.
then shut your mouth, listen up, and get in there, and don't come out of that booth until I fucking tell you. You know what I'm saying? Until it sounds right.
Well,
And that's,
how did y'all
you know,
guys end up with American Records with Rick Rubin?
that was through Amanda Shear. She was the creator of Buzztone Management. She
Okay,
was behind a lot of the management for groups like Cypress Hill, Beastie Boys, people like that. Big up Mark Sake Pearson. He was our manager at first, and then he got us to
okay,
the doorstep of Amanda Shear. She was under the tutelage of Rick Rubin. They started Def
okay.
American when he left Def Jam back in
hmm
'93. That thing went down. '94. It was already finalized. He hadn't started Deaf American until I think 1995. So we had
Okay.
already been underneath Sake and Amanda working on grinding out this demo and working on the project and coming up with an album. So when it was time to go, we we finished the album and we put it in her hands and she took it to Rick Rubin and them and they worked the project going forward. And that's how we got involved with them. That was 1995. A lot of people, and I know Wikipedia says it came out in April of 1995, but I'm here to tell you, I know for a damn fact, Mandela fact, nah, that shit came out July 11th, 1995. That's a fact. The reason why I know it's a fact, because as a little kid, record stores in the neighborhood, just like the one that you went to where you found
Yeah.
our record, there was a record place called the Little Record Factory, and then there was the record. There was the record store. It was called the Record Store, and then it became the Wiz. Now, since I'm a little kid, I've always wanted to see my face up on the shelf on a record, right? Like everybody at that time thought of seeing
Yeah.
yourself, in Tower Records or whatever, Ed, Big Coconuts, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Crazy Eddies, whoever. That was a dream of mine. So when that shit actually came to fruition and it happened, I went into the Wiz in July on a Tuesday because back then records came out on Tuesdays, movies came out on Fridays. So that Tuesday, July 11th, I went in there and sure as shit, my ugly ass mug was looking at me from a shelf in the alternative. They didn't put us in the rap shit. They put us in the alternative section. But never mind, nonetheless, there I was with my boys from childhood on a record cover staring back at me. So how just that alone, thank you, Jesus, for that. Because that was a dream come true. First step of dream come true. One second step, actually, no, I see myself on the silver screen in Bronzetail, 93 when that came out. So all these manifestations were happening, and that's how I know for a fact. A lot of people are like, nah, that shit was April. I'm like, dude, we were there, bro. You don't remember walking into the Wiz, seeing yourself in a hot ass July, week after the 4th? You don't remember that? Because I do. And I even have the, what do you call it? I saved the New York Daily News clipping of the advertisement of the Wiz advertising our record. So that shit was dope. That all came full circle. And then we were off to the ground running. Now they don't know where to put us because another thing a lot of people don't know. Maybe you're old school because I see you got a lot of old school dudes that you've been interviewing and everything. Guys from my class back in the days in the business. And
Yeah.
back then, you know what I'm saying? Like once you got on, as we say, now where you gonna go? Where they gonna put you? You got to market the record. And then not only that, you got to go on tour and you got to go and perform and sell the record. But the thing is, at the time, 95, rap still had it. Rap, hip hop, the culture, whatever you want to call it, still had a stigma attached to it where beefs happen, violence, gang violence, drugs, every fucking propagandized
Yeah.
tool you want to imagine,
Yeah.
they attached to it. So they're like, yo, these guys are white. So what did they do? Because there weren't really any hip hop shows. Shout out to Bush Babies. We performed with them and Smith and Wesson at Colgate College in January of 1995, before the record even came out. But that was like the only hip hop ish venue that they would put us on because there wasn't really any.
Okay.
And then there was college radio. College radio was huge. The college circuit, you followed that. You go and play all these college towns, which we did, but they put us with like alternative acts like Sugar Ray or like Korn. You know what I mean? They thought that we weren't
Yeah.
going to get along with these people, but we did because we're survivors. We could adapt, and we're from Brooklyn. We're from Dyker Heights. We're from Bay
Yeah.
Ridge. You know what I mean? We can adapt anywhere. Put us on any tool. We don't give a shit about that. We just want to show you what we got. We want to sell our record. You know what I'm saying? And then they put us with the New York City hardcore scene. Shout out everybody in the hardcore scene. John Joseph, Pro Mags, Madball, Freddie, Ezak, my boy, Scarhead, the whole crew, Hoyer. Anyway, not getting crazy. That's how I've always been a New York City hardcore fan of all the groups. Leeway, Bad Brains, all of that from a kid. So that was a no-brainer. They were like, yo, they're going to put us with them. I'm like, sure, let's go. I've been going to hardcore shows. I bet you, guarantee you, there'll be live shows. And they were,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, people are like, yo, where's moshing coming with hip-hop? I'm like, that shit is as hip-hop as, you know what I mean, as Grand Wizard Theodore. Everybody. I mean, granted, breakdancing, yeah, but like the second to that was, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Moshing and shit. People moshing. You see them in Lollapalooza, Cypress Hill had probably one of the
Yeah.
biggest pits ever. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I digress. They had a real conundrum of where to market us. You know, they couldn't put us to urban radio. They put us in the college circuit. College is usually always accepting of everyone. But you know, a bunch of
Hmm.
college kids, they don't really give a fuck. They're there to get fucked up. And at that time, so were we. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. Too many people fuck. You can't see that, right? Like people hitting me up. Good. I hope not.
Oh, so
Oh,
basically, everybody had a problem of how to market you because the image, basically.
yeah, the image. It wasn't the music, but in that business, you know what I'm saying? It's all about the bells and whistles, man. You know what I mean? All about the
Yeah.
image. So it was hard for them to. Initially, they figured it out. You know, the way that everybody was going to break even would be on like a college tour, you know, being with, like I said, the Sublimes, which are my people. Shout out Sublime, Skunk Records, the whole family. But like, you know, Sugar Ray and Corn, or you know, all these great. Shout out Shooty's Groove. That's a fucking blast from the past. So we played with a lot of really dope bands, a lot of really dope artists, rappers too. But like, it was all like back in those days. It was all there were never straight hip hop shows. It was always a grab bag. You'd have a hardcore group, an alternative group. You'd have a rapper, us. You know what I mean? And it would be they. That's how they would string it along like that. You know what I mean? So it was. Yeah, it was a lot of times they didn't really know how to push our record, you know, which we did great, man. We just came shy of gold, even with all of that. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
shout out everybody that paid attention back then, you know. And it's so funny too. I see a lot of hip hop dudes that I looked up to back then, you know, that years and years and years later, like we're all cool and it's all pounds and hugs and shit. Then it hit me. I was like, no more competition. It was never about who we were as people. It's about competition, and I get that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Now I get it. Like Beat Nuts and all these great dudes and
Yeah.
everybody out there. Shout out my man P.F. Cutton, Sean Price, rest in peace. All these cats, Buckshot, like we were all competitive back then. You know what I mean? And there wasn't that many groups coming out a year. You know what I mean? So I can see why everybody was fighting for their slot back then. Back then, I was like, "Yo, what's the
Yeah.
matter? We can't all hug it out." You know, that's how naive I was back then. You know, but nah, man, it was a crazy ride. It's been sick, and I'm loving it, man. You know, I'm still loving it. I'm glad that you reached out, man. You know what I mean? It's good to know people still remember. You know, I don't want to
Yeah.
keep
I
talking. I'll
definitely
fucking
remember. I
break the
listened
whole
to
thing,
almost
but
everything back in the 90s. Yeah.
no, I was gonna say I
You
don't
like
because
Cool Kim? You
I
remind me
gotta.
of Cool Kim from UMC's.
Oh yeah, shout out UMC's, man. That was my favorite, Blue Cheese, man. I had that record. I went and bought that shit from the very same record
Yeah.
store that I would be on the shelf at. So shout out to UMC's and UGC's, the underground guys.
So I seen y'all released a vinyl. It says the Lords of Brooklyn meet Bumpy Knuckles. Is that Bumpy Knuckles? Is that Freddie Fox?
That is the one and only Freddie Fox. Shout out Freddie Bumpy Knuckles, my man Freddie Fox. I mean, I love Freddie Fox. And let me tell you something. That
I do
album, Sex
too.
and Violence, that album, Sex and
Uh-huh.
Violence, KRS-One, Sex and Violence. He was featured on a lot of those tunes. Every beat he touched on that, he killed it. And I remember being like, Freddie Fox, oh yeah, it is Freddie Fox. Because I'm remembering like, Freddie, they were trying to do their best to keep him down too. But the cream always rises
Yeah.
to the top, and KRS gave him that shot, almost like a feature on a bunch of tunes. I remember like, damn, Freddie Fox is fucking going bananas right now. I love that whole album, down to the Robert Williams painting on that album cover of Sex and Violence. I don't know if anybody knows who the artist Robert Williams is, but he's like a legendary West Coast surrealist kind of surf dude. Just look at the album cover, Sex and Violence. Say no more. But yeah, but I remember seeing him in Thrasher magazine, Robert Williams, his
Uh-huh.
his artwork in that. So all of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute, KRS-One is putting this dude. I mean, I was copping the album regardless, And I always been a
Yeah.
dancehall reggae fan, and like how he mashed it too. I mean, he's always mashed the dancehall sound all the way back to his first recordings. You know what I mean? But on
Yeah.
that record, him and Pal Joey did a masterful job. Of really, and Sidney Mills. Sidney Mills had a lot to do with a lot of. Sidney Mills, a dancehall producer, reggae producer. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Freddie Fox, yeah, he's family with Lords of Brooklyn. He's a matter of fact, he's on one of our on our reunion album. He's on that.
Okay.
I forget which tune it is, yeah, but they got Adam and him put it on there. I think I had a verse on there. I don't know what the hell happened to it. So Adam, you better put my remix it, put my verse back on there. Shout out Freddie Fox. Yeah, he's on. He's down with the crew for sure.
I mean, how did that come about? Because it almost seems like an odd pairing, you guys and Freddie Fox.
I'm pretty sure the pairing of that goes through Mike and Adam, Caves and 80 Money.
Okay.
They're brothers, the McClear brothers. And I'm pretty sure throughout, because there was a minute there after 98, I was estranged from the crew and I went off solo. So between 98 and 2011, 2012, when I came back into the fray, it happened probably in that because Caves and Adam, they've always been in the biz too. You know what I mean? Their shit just didn't stop either. Just because I went in a different direction, they kept to the grind. They changed the sound up a little bit here and a little bit there, but yeah, they
Hmm.
did a lot of shit. So I'm pretty sure I don't know exactly how. Maybe we get Adam on here to tell you the story. But I'm pretty
Okay.
sure that happened through Ad Money and Caves through the people that they know. I'm pretty sure that's how they got linked up. Because and like Darren McDaniels from DMC from Run DMC, the Run DMC,
Yeah.
they did
Yeah.
tunes together. You know what I mean? A lot of we did shit with OC and Lord's Finesse. I was still with the crew when that happened. I'm on the remix with that. Shout out to Digging in the Crates. Shout out Diamond D.
Love him.
Shout out. Yeah, hell yeah. Shout out Lord Finesse. That's my dude. I've been a Lord Finesse fan. Shout out OC. That's a stand up
Yeah.
gent right there. You know what I'm saying? So I was proud to be a part of that. The Bumpy Knuckles thing, I don't know the exact origins of how that happened. But maybe we'll leave that for when Adam comes on here and you and him could do a show with a more in depth, you know, a, more in depth on how that happened. I can't really say how that happened, but I know for a fact
Uh
that,
huh.
yeah, Bumpy Knuckles he's people for
Now,
sure.
are you guys still cool though, even though you went solo and did your own thing?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Okay. That's good
We
to
we
hear.
squashed it. Yeah, yeah. Any hatchets we had, we buried a long time ago. That's fam. Like I said, that's another thing. Like you see a lot of these groups that were put together. I'm not going to say any names, and then they break up, and then that's it. You never really hear nothing from them again. That's because they were put together. You know what I'm saying? Like they,
Yeah.
at least with the Lords of Brooklyn crew, those are friends of mine that I grew up with
Yeah. You
long
grew up
before the
together.
music
Yeah.
shit. Yeah, we grew up together in the same neighborhood, hanging out, the whole from breakdancing on graffiti. I always wanted to be, down with the graffiti thing. They taught me a lot how to write, all of that. So I give it up to them. They're like my older brothers in the game. So it was really, sure, brothers. They don't always get along all the time. You know what I mean? Brothers, they have arguments.
Yeah.
Brothers, they have fights. They have disagreements. You know what I mean? And I just chalk it up to that. And again, I was looking, I wanted more out of everything. I wanted more out of music. I wanted to do different styles. And you can't really do that when you're part of a group like that, so to speak, unless
Yeah.
everybody makes the jump. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it was a wild time back then, and I sowed my wild oats and I had a great time doing it. You know what I mean? And I had a great time on my own as much as I had a great time, which the best days of my life were all the tours we did, because we toured a lot, man. I mean, and when you're touring with not only are they your brothers and you're all fucking mobbing out, going around the world together, you know what I mean? It's one of the dopest feelings ever because people, not everybody's going to get you like your brothers when you get back to the tour bus or the van
Yeah.
or however the fuck it was that you made it there. You know what I mean? It was a real brotherhood. It's still a real brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? So that was what gave us the edge. It kind of bit us in the ass a little bit too, because I'm a wild card. A lot of the other guys are wild cards, and sometimes we don't keep our mouth shut for nothing. Matter of fact, most times, you know what I'm saying? But, learning curves, learn how to play the game, and it's a fucking business. It's a game. When people say the game, yeah, it's a game, but the music business means the music business. The music industry means music industry. You can't have an industry without business. You know, me, I'm like trying to be
Yeah.
an artist. Like, oh, fuck that. Yeah, yeah, you know. Nah, you know, you gotta pull the fucking chain a little bit. Nah, heal, boy, heal. You know what I'm saying? So I learned a lot of that through them, through my brothers there. And then when I was on my own and touring, you know, with people that I know well, really good, but they're not like, you know, fans from the neighborhood. You learn, you know, I
Mhm.
learned a lot of things too. Like, you gotta be, you know, not everybody is, you know, not everybody has your best interest, even though they're smiling and everybody, oh, big fan, love it. You know, nah, that's all. What are you gonna say? You know what I'm saying? Like, not everybody's got your best interest. I learned that shit, you know. But yeah, we
So
cool. We're
what
all
was
straight.
what was the reaction overseas with the Lords of Brooklyn music? Because I'm always interested in that. Because overseas is where it's at for hip hop right now.
Yeah. And you know what? I have to say, overseas has always been where it's at for hip hop. And I'll tell you why, because 30 some odd years ago, when we toured Europe,
Mhm.
we were bigger in Europe than we were, quote unquote, as a national act here in the States. Now, I love my country
States.
100%. I'm a full on patriot. I love my country. I hate the government. It's always been that way, no matter who's there. You know what I mean? And I never
Yeah.
learned how much of that is true until you go outside of your own country. You will see it ain't. You will see why this is the greatest country in the world, bar none, hands down. But I'll say that to say this: we were treated like motherfucking royalty out west, and that was back then out in Europe. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like we got so we in Italy, we had our Beatles moment. We were chased out the record store on an in-store signing, and we were chased out of there by wild fans, female fans. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody's like, come on, I'm like, what do you want? Where we go? What are you doing? What is, look, we got a party tonight. What's going on? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it was crazy. Like to be like ushered out of a place like because you're that popular. You know, shout out Amsterdam. Every time in Amsterdam, nothing but like oh, like they gave you everything on a fucking silver platter. All over France, Germany. Germany had the best beer ever. I don't drink no more, but in Germany, I had the best beer ever with the craziest fans. Dudes that couldn't speak a lick of English, but they knew every word to fucking behind the Lords of Brooklyn record. So shout out, yeah, man. Europe has always been a place where you really got the recognition that you deserved as an artist. You know what I mean? As a creative. You know, over there, like they just, you know, they just. I don't want to say that it's because we have so much of a saturation here. It's always been with the arts here in the United
Yeah.
States. Not to say that out in Europe or Eastern Europe or the Far East. It's not to say that they don't. It's just that they do things different, and they pay attention more to what goes behind the art. You know what I mean? Not like, oh, this is the hot shit of the day. I mean, they do that shit too, but like the hot
Yeah.
shit of the day, if it resonates with a fan, or not even a fan, with a listener, if it resonates with them, they stop more and they do a deep dive. You know how we say rabbit holes now, but back then, you know, if you like it could have been like say I'm going to use this as an example, Das Effects, right? They want effects. Hottest
Okay.
shit at the moment at the time, right? Motherfuckers ain't saying shit.
Yeah.
However, you never heard that before. Wow. First of all, you're grabbed by your shoulders. You're shooken up. Yo, that shit's dope.
Yeah.
It's the Fed. Then it goes away. But you're like, hold up, wait a minute. What else do they got? You know what I mean? And then you start delving in. You buy the album. You listen to all the records. You read all the liner notes. You know what I'm saying? And then you get into who said artist is. You know, and that's like I felt like they did that a lot more over there as opposed to here.
Overseas.
Whereas over here, there's so much going on. Even back then, you know, we had a lot to
Yeah.
choose from
Yeah.
back then. Now
Yeah.
it's all blown open. But you know, you could be into something for a month or so, and then be like, "Yeah, no, we ain't really." Or I listened to that with a girl. I heard that shit on a breakup. Nah, now that shit's whack. I don't listen no more. But you know, you know, when someone really takes the time out to get into you, they'll appreciate you more. And I feel like from what I saw out west, I keep saying out west, out in Europe, from what I saw was like, yeah,
Across the
now these,
pond.
Yeah, across the pond, right. Shout out everybody across the pond for sure too. You know what I'm saying? United Kingdom, everywhere. Shout out Japan. Japan was crazy too when we were over there, man.
Oh,
I never been so blown away before in my life. When I was there in 1998. That shit was like the future. They had shit that came out in 2020, 2003. They had that in 98 over there. So I was like, whoa,
okay.
that's a whole other story. We could do a whole fucking chapter just on that. But shout out to Japan.
Tell me about some of your solo projects that you had released.
All right, so before I joined the Lords of Brooklyn, like as a member, I started cutting. A friend of mine, Drew Robustelli, we were really into like uh, dance music and like house music and
Mhm.
like Frankie Bones type shit. You know what I mean? Like club music. We used to call it club music. Call it
Yeah,
house. Now they call it EDM, whatever, right? But at first we were
yeah.
making tracks. I've always been playing drums. Then I got into gear, and he's a sick piano player, keyboardist, and he has a sick ear for music. He had an O2R board back, in the early '90s. So we were really like trying to make, techno and house music. And then I
Okay.
was always a hip hop head, right? So I started making demos with a friend of mine, another brother Frank, who was a hardcore drummer in a band called Nobody's Perfect. But he had also had equipment in his bedroom, so I started cutting demos there as a rapper, and between trying to cut records with the house shit I was doing. So I was writing and coming up with really, now they're whack beats, but at the time it was like just basically like loops. I learned how to loop shit and just real dry shit,
Yeah.
dry drum loop, or maybe a little fucking not even 4 bars of some shit back then, the sampling capacity. That's why you needed the SD 950. But anyway, I was making my demos. I knew Caves. I would see Caves. I'd call his house, like, yo, I want you to hear this shit, because I knew he was cutting demos. Him and Scotty Edge were in rap battles, Jack the Rapper and all of that
Okay.
shit. They were going on rap
Yeah,
battles.
yeah.
So everybody, we were making this kind of movement at that time. Uh, so I brought my demos to Caves. Boom. That turned into me becoming a member of Lords of Brooklyn. That happened. And then now I have a wealth of knowledge of all this. And through the Sublime crew, I became cool with them. And shout out Miguel from Skunk Records. Uh, I started cutting demos to do dancehall shit and a little bit of hip hop, but like
Oh,
dancehall, like hardcore, all the like shout out Dave Kelly, you know what I'm saying? People like that back then, Taxi Gang, Sly and Robbie. I wanted to make dancehall records. You know what I mean? So this is now I'm
uh-huh.
like, once I get obsessed, I want to do this, right? So I started focusing all my energy on that. And then I went back to working square jobs and working on, I knew I had an in. So I would call Miguel all the time and be like, yo, I'd send him shit. You know what I mean? And we started slowly working on my first solo album, uh, Burn Unit, Behind the Bar. Burn Unit was the title, the Burn Unit Massive. The album title was Behind the Bar, produced by me and Miguel from Skunk Records. Right? It was really Miguel and brother Frank that
Uh-huh.
did a bulk of the. I was writing. I wrote all the lyrics on it, and I came up with a lot of the concept and stuff. So that was the first record on my solo appearance, right? Going solo. And that was really coming to a nice from about 98 to 2001. I had a real good momentum going on. I was touring with Long Beach Dub All Stars because after Bradley, rest in peace, after Bradley Noel died, the Long Beach Dub All Stars came from the Sublime Ashes, right? So
Okay.
I'm rolling with them. I'm going on tours with them as a DJ, like a regular like DJ, selector, as the Jamaicans call them. I was DJing all dancehall, reggae shit, hip hop shit, whatever.
Okay.
And then I would come out at the end of their shows, and I would do my lyrics shit, right? So then that
Okay.
as I'm working on my solo album, Burn Unit Behind the Bar, right? So that comes to fruition. It's ready to drop on ready September
Uh-huh.
11th. 2001. Kabosh. And not only that, I produced the record on DreamWorks for Long Beach Dub All Stars, their sophomore effort called Wonders of the World, the name of that album. I have a track that I'm featured on that I produced as well. All of it. Bam. That day I was supposed to, the day that my record was, their record was dropping, my record was to drop the following week. And I was supposed to go that day on tour with them to start off a nationwide tour in opening up for their album that just got dropped, Long Beach Dub All Stars, Wonders of the World. We all know what happened.
Uh-huh.
That didn't happen. I met them maybe 2.5 weeks later. I met them in Boston, and we started the nationwide tour in support of that album, Long Beach Dub All Stars, Wonders of the World. I was piggybacking that, opening up for them, sweetest spot in the world, opening up for them, pushing my record, Burn Unit Behind the Bar. I went up there, did 25 to 30 minutes right before the headline and act, which was Long Beach, packed out everywhere, every venue we went, 3 to 5,000 seaters jammed out.
Damn.
This was
That's
before the
good.
internet now. Yeah, it was. I
Yeah.
mean, and I put a lot of work into it too. You know what I mean? And we all did, everybody included. But again, I'm not going to go into too much about what happened. We all know we all lost a lot of good people. I don't want to hear all kinds of this and cause of that because I feel the same. I don't feel the same way as I did back then about what happened, but that's for a whole other story. All I know is what happened to me and the people that I lost out of that. Not only did we lose lives that day, people lost livelihoods as well. And not to mention Long Beach Dub All Stars, they wind up breaking up as soon as that tour wraps. So I'm like, fuck, man,
Damn.
you know, like where we gonna go now? What we gonna do now, champ? You know what I'm saying? Like, so, but we worked it out. You know, I wound up putting out another my sophomore effort solo wise, which was which is now Paulie Nugent, Late Night Stereo on Skunk Records,
Okay.
which I had some real great production on that. Shout out to Scientist. He produced a track on that. Not Here, I'm Down. Shout out Phillyano, Long Beach rap icon. You know, he produced a lot of shit on it. Shout out Miguel. He produced a lot of shit. Shout out the Owens brothers, Ike and Aaron Owens. People don't know who they are. Ike was a keyboard player for Mars Volta. Aaron was a guitarist for Hepcat. The West Coast people in the reggae scene and the ska scene know who they are. Shout out them. We lost them. I got so much. I produced a couple of jams on that, and that was the last, as far as like what I thought was going to be, you know, like this is my way to get back into the music business and
Mm.
you know pick up kind of where I left off. Because like from 2002 to about maybe 2006 when I first started working on Behind the Bar. And Behind the Bar came out in 2008. So in those like 2-3 years, I made the whole album. I was going out west, coming back and forth, still working square jobs. So I could always keep my integrity. You know what I'm saying? That's another thing. A lot of people don't realize. They think you just got to do music and that's it. Nah, man. If you're a hustler, there's all kinds of ways to keep paying your bills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't got to wait for that big break. You know what I'm saying? Which I think saved my life. Would not think I know saved my life by having integrity, not being afraid to go out and go get your ass a job. So in that gray area, Scotty Edge and I, from Lordz of Brooklyn, started doing a hip hop, strictly hip hop thing called the Dead Rabbits. DADEDRABBIDZ. The Dead Rabbits, right? Which is
Yeah.
a play on the Dead Rabbits, the Irish gang from the
From
Five
that
Points in
movie.
New York City. From the movie, which is really, it was a
Yeah.
real live, they were a real gang. They were really deep. Granted,
Well, was it Gangs
Scorsese
in New
kind of
York? Gangs in New
gangs in
York
New
with
York.
Leonardo DiCaprio and I
With
forgot the
Lena,
other guy, the
yes.
guy that played Abraham
Daniel
Lincoln.
Day-Lewis.
Yeah, Daniel
The Stonepipe.
Day-Lewis. Great actor, yo.
100%. It was a great movie up until the kind of the end kind of
Yeah.
falls off. But regardless,
Yeah.
the Dead Rabbits, now Scotty Edge, people don't realize he's been rapping about all that kind of shit since I first heard him rap. You know what I'm saying? He's just been always talking about pipes, fiddles, and flutes, Irish heritage. You know what I mean? Bathtub gin. And Cage called him the Stephen King of rap. And I tell you, he was truly on that. So he wanted to get back into rapping and everything. And I'm like, yo, you know what? I wrapped up, my sophomore effort, Late Night Stereo, and the touring kind of was a little, wasn't there. Shout out Slightly Stupid and a couple of other, we worked the record as best as we could, but it just didn't, it was in a weird area too. The early aughts was kind of tough, like, anywhere. Everything from 2000 to 2010 was a real weird time,
Yeah.
kind of. Fuck you, LimeWire. You robbed a lot of money out of my motherfucking pocket. Fuck you, Sean Alexander, you piece of shit. Uh, he robbed a lot of
LimeWire. I remember
motherfuckers.
LimeWire. Yeah.
Yeah, don't open it. You're gonna get a fucking virus. I don't care if it says Eminem's newest release. That shit's fake. Don't do it. But yo, we did the Dead Rabbits. That was another like because again, I love being a team player. I don't mind going solo if I
Yeah.
have to. But it gets a little boring for me. You know what I mean? I like having a partner in crime to bounce off of. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to like lyrics and shit. You know.
Yeah.
So we started doing the Dead Rabbit shit, which we put out a body of work, believe it or not, all free, by the way. Go check it out on SoundCloud or, you know what I mean? There's places to find it too. Like, we put a lot of
Okay.
work in. Shout out Skinhead Said. He produced a lot of that shit. And then, Block McCloud helped us out with a lot of shit. Filiano,
Oh, from
uh,
what's he from? What group is he from?
Block McCloud from Army the Pharaohs.
Yeah, Army of the Pharaohs. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was part of that whole crew with them over there. He's from Brooklyn. Shout out Block. You know what I'm saying? So like he was living in Staten Island at the time, and he had a studio, and he was renting time. I was like, yo, sure, no problem. So me and Scotty
Yeah.
would go over there. We recorded plenty of shit, but we recorded a lot of things in a bunch. It was like $80, you know what I mean, to go and record. So we were like, fuck it. We would get the concept. We didn't pay for any beats or anything like that. Dudes were floating us beats. So, people are like, yo, I'm a big fan. I'm like, cool. Like, yo, listen to these beats. I'm like, all right, I ain't paying you shit for it though. If you want me to rap on it, that's the trick. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody
Yeah.
got crazy with the features there for a minute. And I gotta be honest, like
Yeah.
I didn't capitalize a lot on it. And then it's crazy too, because everybody's a big fan. And then you give them a number, which really isn't much. They're like, oh, it's not in the budget. All right. Well then I ain't in the budget either. But you, my man, know I'll give you a follow for follow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, so a lot of those, a lot of that gray area in the early aughts up until like 2015, because 2015 was the reunion Lords of Brooklyn record. So we got back into the
Okay.
frame. Scotty and I got back in with the Lords of Brooklyn. We dropped the Family Reunion album. And in between that, I was writing a bunch of other stuff that wasn't hip hop related. Like I wrote a song I did with Bible Code Sundays, Elvis Costello's little brother, his group, and shout out my man Andy Nolan.
What?
Uh, yeah, but it's not hip hop shit. It's like pub rock type stuff. And then
Elvis
we did it.
Costello's little brother.
Yeah, shout out Ronan McManus. Check him out. He's ill. And then I met Elvis Costello because I'm still a huge fan of Elvis since I was like a little kid. Because people used to say, "Yo, you look like Elvis Costello," when I was like a little dork with my Luke Perry 90210 pushback. They're like, "Yo, you look like
Oh shit.
You look like Elvis Costello," but they're trying to diss me like, "You look like Elvis Costello. Get out of here." I was like, "Actually, that's not a diss at all. That motherfucker's badass." And then I full circle. I met him. He's one of the legends that didn't suck. Who I met out of the people in my lifetime that you think that these people are who they are, and then you meet them and
Yeah.
couldn't be furthest from the truth. Not Elvis, stand up gent. Shout out Elvis Costello, without a doubt. You know what I'm saying? He actually even did a project with Questlove from the Roots. You know that?
Oh shit. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. Check that out. It's
That's
pretty dope
crazy.
actually. Yeah, so I got into like writing a bunch of stuff that didn't pertain to hip hop or dancehall at all. And then I was producing my own stuff, my own rhythms and things like that. I was trying to work that angle, and then again, it just keeps. It's like I keep thinking like I take on a different medium, and the gate's gonna change, but it's not. Different medium, same old gatekeepers. You know what I'm saying? So getting placements on shit was like you get a crash course and see how like how it really works. It's not like if the shit's dope, they're gonna use it. Nah, not at all. I did a rhythm for Gwen Stefani, and I went through Miguel. I'm like, yo, Miguel, you know these people. You know what I mean? He's like, what's the key that she sings in? He's like, oh, she sings in the key of A. So all right, cool. I go into the lab. I come up with this little ditty in the key of A. Send it out. You know what I mean? For some reason, it doesn't get heard. I don't nothing hear back. No, I didn't hear nothing. No, they didn't say. So usually no response means no, right? Because if people are interested in something, they're gonna pursue you.
Yeah.
If they're not interested in it, they saw it. I'm gonna pass without actually telling you pass. Sure enough, I hear Dr. Dre produce "If I Was a Rich Girl," and it has three of the elements that I used in that fucking track. You know what I'm saying? So shout out Gwen. You know you got that from me. Shout out Dre. You know you don't do his own shit, but you know. Yeah, funny
So
shit, man.
before we let you go, man, I want to talk about this Bronx
Shoot.
Tales. Great
Ah,
movie. Well, great movie. Great movie. How did you
indeed.
end up getting that role in that movie?
How I got to be the stickball player was from auditioning to play the part of C, Calogero. They did a huge casting call for Calogero, okay? And the kid Lilo
Yeah, yeah,
Brancato, how they got him, one of the
yeah.
casting directors assigned to the project, saw him on the beach, Jones Beach or some shit, and you know, boom, he got his connection number, and he went down an audition. They were looking all, you know, they when they cast, as you know, they throw a wide net. You know, they look at thousands and thousands of kids.
Mhm,
I was already in the game, kind of. I had headshots, I had a resume. I knew I was working in Manhattan at the time, which is, for those that don't know, that's the city, and that's where all the casting directors and Hollywood in New York City is in Manhattan, right? So on my lunch break, I
mhm.
went and I knew who the casting director was. Shout out Jane. She does all of his stuff at the time, De Niro stuff. Jane Rosenthal, that is.
Okay.
I knew where the office was in Tribeca. I went down there on
Yeah.
my lunch break, personally dropped off my resume, headshot and resume in the back. Bang! That was on a Tuesday. I got a call on Thursday to come in on a Friday to audition. Okay, all right. I think I'm in the door. I go down there. I do my little sign. The scene where he's shaving and he's talking to De Niro, that was the
Yeah. Yeah.
sides that they were given to everybody to to recite. You know, that was your audition.
Yeah.
Was that scene? So I go and I do that. Boom! I don't hear nothing. This is back in the days when we didn't have cell phones. We had the phone on the wall, right? My mom lived with my parents, sadly, my mother, my stepfather at the time. I get a call. My mother tells me somebody called you from, I don't know, they want you to come down and read again or something. I'm like, oh, okay. Did you take the number? He's like, yeah, here's the number. I call them up. Boom, it's Jane and them. I go down. I read the other the scene that he does with Jane. I read it with another girl. That's not Jane from
Okay.
Belly. Shout out Terrell Hicks. It's not her.
Yeah.
It's two other girls I read. I come down two times that week, and I read that scene he wants to take her to the movies. I read that scene with her. Now then Terrell Hicks, I read that with her the week after. I don't think she remembers. I don't even remember it was her until she got the part. I don't hear nothing again. Weeks go by. A month goes by, 2 months. I'm thinking, oh shit. Now they gave me the whole script the first time I went down and read. They gave me the whole
Uh,
thing, top to bottom, soup to nuts. So I read this whole shit. Now I'm like, yo, I gotta get this part. I need this part. This is, you know what I mean? I was 19. I really thought this was going to be it. You know what I mean? That's going to drop. I'm going to bang. I'm going to do it. I don't hear nothing. A friend of mine knew this photographer from People Magazine. She took my headshots. She said she knew who Chuck Lowe was. Now, if you don't know who Chuck Lowe was, Chuck Lowe in the movie Goodfellas, he played Maury. Remember Maury in Goodfellas? If you do, that's the guy Chuck Lowe. I
Warren.
got his
Yeah. Yeah.
number.
Yeah. The one that. Yeah. Yeah.
Maury's wigs don't come off. So I got his number
Yeah.
from her. I call him and I'm talking to him like, listen, I need to know, did I get the part? I got to get in this part. He's like, no, you know, that's the heartbreak part of the business, kid. He tells me, yeah, sorry, the part's already been cast. Right? I think, bang, that's it. Boom, shots over. Get back to, I wasn't even in, yeah, I was just out of high school. Boom, it's over. I mean, start thinking of other ways. You know, I start thinking more about rapping now. I start thinking about cutting demos more now. Not really going on auditions much. Fuck that. Fuck them. Right? You know, pure Brooklyn shit. I get a call fucking the next year. Right? That was, I'd say, it was the end of '91, early '91. Did all that auditioning. Early '92, I get a call. No, spring '92, I get a call from Sylvia Fay's casting company. And now Sylvia Fay, if anybody knows, back in the day, She is like huge in the casting area in Manhattan movies. New York movies back then, they went through one or three different casting crews. Sylvia Fay or Sheila Jaffe, who does The Sopranos
Mm-hmm.
now. She does a lot of casting for that.
Okay.
Anywho, they call my house. My mother's like, I don't know. Somebody called from somewhere. The number's over there, right? So I'm like, who the fuck could it be? I see Sylvia Fay. I know the name, Sylvia Fay. Like Jackie Gleason, Sylvia Fay, Sylvia Fay. Right? So I get on the phone. How, yeah, I can be there anytime. So long story even longer, I got the part of the stickball player slash stand-in slash they used my voice and didn't pay me slash non-union week and a half worth of work in Astoria, Queens. Okay, because at the time Arthur Avenue, where Chaz Palminteri's from, was under renovation, so they were ripping up the neighborhood.
Okay.
So they used Astoria, Queens. So I got a call. I got to be there Monday morning, 5 o'clock at Wardrobe. Now, after all of that shit that I went through, I didn't give a fuck if I had to go mop up the fucking place after. You know what I mean? I didn't give a shit if I was thrown out the garbage. After all of that, I had to be involved in the movie. I didn't give a fuck if it was getting them coffee, lighting cigarettes, whatever. I needed to be in that fucking production, no matter what. So lo and behold, I got the shot to be the stickball guy. Now we shot other scenes. They gave me some dialogue to say. That whole stickball scene that you could see me in for like a half a fucking second. Don't blink, right? That was a lot of shit that we did that day. But what they used out of that works in the scene. And that's why no matter what, you'll always see me in it. I'll always be a part of that production forever. And Chaz Palminteri, well, we spent like 6-7 hours together filming that. We did all kinds of things.
In
We
that
did
one scene?
dialogue. Yeah, in that one scene, there was a few other things that was happening that now looking back, I was like, oh, we did that day. I saw how they shot two different scenes, and through the magic of editing, they were able to fucking paste it all together and use my voice because in that thing where I'm between the whole genesis of that scene, right? I'm gonna break down the acting scene. The genesis of that scene is Sonny and Lorenzo, Colleggio's father. They're established. Yeah. I'm on this side, you're on that side. My son's in the middle. You know what I mean? So we're gonna be truce. I know you're not gonna let anything happen to him. And Sonny's like, I know that's your son, but even though I treat him like a son, and him dropping him off on the corner and me in the middle of all that, that was to that scene. That was the part where it was like, all right, there's no beef between Lorenzo and Colleggio now, and because if you look, the next scene they cut to, he's a 17-year-old, and he's really in with Sonny's crew, and they're betting at Aqueduct and Eddie Mush and all that. So that was like the end of the innocence, sort of, for Colleggio in that scene. And I happened to be right in the middle of it. So through all my perseverance and persistence, I made it to that. And it's so crazy. There's a YouTube thing, Remember When? And the guy's talking about 15 weird things you didn't know about the Bronx Tale, which I did. Mm-hmm. How about the 16th part? The 16th thing you didn't know about the Bronx Tale is what I just told you here, live, exclusively for Live at Fayettenam. All right? So that's a little bit of history on the Bronx Tale on top of that. And it's so funny that they used that scene of me out of that whole thing, that little clip they used. So shout out to whoever made Remember When on YouTube. Thanks for using my likeness and my image. That's pretty dope. And so, yeah, man. And so all in all, at the end of the Bronx Tale, I could have been more happy. And here's the twist. Ready? I'll leave it off on the twist. The crazy part is about that whole shit is Chaz Palminteri. We really hit it off, man. I was doing my fucking De Niro impersonation from him. He loved it. We're laughing. He's like, you really do look like Bobby. I was like, yeah, I went down there 5 times. Apparently, you guys didn't think so. He's like, but did you see Lilo? He's really good. I'm like, nah, I didn't see him. Meanwhile, I also did stand-in work for Joe D'Onofrio on there. I didn't know him. I'm in a play now called The Brooklyn Dream with Joe D'Onofrio. But at the time, I didn't know. I knew who he was, not just from the movie, from the neighborhood. I know him from the neighborhood because he was a graffiti writer too. He knows Caves from way back, and they got a couple of years on me. So I always knew who he was. You know what I'm saying? So the kicker is, Chaz is like, well, I'm buddying up to him. He introduces me to his personal assistant. He's like, this is so and so, Papa. This is Paul. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to take his resume and everything, put him on file. They're like, yeah, no, he's got a young look. He could do, And I'm over here. I'm not one to get gassed, but I'm like, all right, yeah, let's do this. All right, yeah, listen to him. He's right. Yeah, I never gave him my fucking resume. I never went followed up on that. You know what I did? I saw Caves at a rave in Miami working for the House of Pain on stage, and I'm backstage because we had hookups like that in Miami with the people I was with. I see him, and this is all in '93. I see him working the stage with House of Pain. He gets off. I'm kicking him. Yo, what's up? What are you doing? I'm like, yo, I got demos. I'm working on music. He's like, yo, hit me up when you get back to the Ridge. I'm like, I bet. So what did I do? I bypassed Chaz. I went straight to my old pal Caves, and I'm like, yo, I want in. Because now I'm thinking I could backdoor the movie business by making music. Because once you get in on a major label, you're around the music people. You're around the movie people. Music videos at that time had huge budgets. They were fucking movies. They were mini 3-4 minute movies. Shout out Ted Demme, who shot both of our Lords of Brooklyn videos. Shout out to him because he did Blow with Johnny Depp, if anybody remembers. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
Okay.
I was thinking to myself that I could backdoor the movie business by doing a couple of music videos, being in a national act, being quote unquote seen or famous, or what people like to use. You know what I'm saying? So, long story even longer, none of those things panned out. However, now I'm in Cage's production of A Brooklyn Dream as Ralph Crandon / Cage's grandfather, great grandfather, and it's acting. So, but it's a story about the Lords of Brooklyn. So
Okay.
you got to go see that. You know what I mean? We're going to be doing the shows back again in September. We should definitely do a show about that where we can go in depth and talk about the artifact. Hip hop, yo, you want to talk about hip hop artifacts? The kid Mr. Caves has got. I mean, forget it. Stories upon stories of. I didn't even scratch the surface, and I want to be respectful too because I don't get along with a lot of people in that business anymore. You know,
Yeah.
after seeing people's true colors and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So, but not to take away, the story of A Brooklyn Dream is all of that. It's got movies, music, rap, entertainment. So it's crazy how I went from starting as an actor to becoming a musician to going back full circle and getting back into the acting. Which I mean, listen, anybody wants to, you want to cast me, that's fine. I'll put you through to my people and whatnot. But I'm more into doing the whole thing now, everything, music, movies, the whole 9 yards, but coming from me. You know what I mean? And people that I know. So this is where I'm thinking this is where we're going to be at as far as the medium goes now. It used to be just a song or just a movie or just a play
Okay.
or just a videotape. Now it's
Yeah.
everything in one. And that's kind of what I want to hit from now till I'm gone. I want to do quality shit that I'm behind and that my heart's into because I get bored real quick. You know what I'm saying? If my heart ain't in it, then I'm out. And that's how I treat my life. And that's how I treat the whole business. And that's what it taught me. So if there's anything I got to say, that's how the Bronx Tale was. That was the catalyst. Shout out Chaz Parliamentary. And shout out
Yeah, I'm
Paul
a big
Masson.
fan of. Appreciate it. I'm a diehard fan of Chaz's movie Usual Suspects too. Like I watched that religiously.
Yeah, he was peak at that. That was peak Chaz right there. That was his stock in the game. That was what, 96 that came out, right? 95 or
Yeah,
96?
yeah, around that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what you got to do before we get out of here? You got to go if you get a chance, and he comes through to Fayetteville, North Carolina, with the one man act, the Bronx Tale on stage with him doing it. Yo, you got to see that shit, bro.
I've heard about
Whoa,
that.
it is sick. I went with my wife. We went and seen it at the St. George Theater in Staten Island 2-3 years back. Woo! It's just as good as the movie, if not better. Now you can see, and they don't change. He don't change nothing. Just like when I read the script back in 1992, it's pretty much as is. Like they change things a lot in other movie productions, but not Bronx Tale. And then when you see him do it live on stage, as is, as we saw in the movie, there's no surprises. But it's almost even better when you see it just him doing it his way. It's fucking sick, bro.
And a lot of people don't know that the character Cologio is really Chaz's real life story.
It's him. That's his
Yeah.
real name, Chaz. Pellegrino is his real name.
Yeah.
And his father's real name is Lorenzo,
The real was
the
a
bus
yeah,
driver.
he was a bus driver, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if I think I'm not sure if Chaz said I'm not sure if the interracial thing was De Niro's idea or if it really
Never heard
happened with
nothing about
Chaz.
that. It might have been De Niro's idea. We know De
I
Niro
think
loves black
so.
women. De Niro
Yeah,
loves some
yeah.
black
So
women.
I could see him because he did a 50-50 split with him.
Yeah.
And I could see him saying, like, yo, all right, you play you, I'll play your father, I'll direct it, I'll lend my star name to it, but you got to also put in this part of it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that the interracial angle, which worked, it worked. It worked in the movie. And it's a part of life. It worked. I think that was a good call on both of their behalf. What do you think
And I think that
before we go?
yeah, and I love that scene, man. That one scene when the bikers come in and stuff shit.
Yeah. Shout out, there's a guy named Mike the Bike from Bay Ridge who's in that scene. He was also in the Steven Seagal Out for Justice.
Oh shit.
Yeah, pretty crazy. But yeah, that bike scene was pretty good. Now you can't
Before we
leave.
let
That's
you
it.
go though.
Sure.
Yeah, now you can't leave. Yep. So before we let you go, man, any shout outs you want to do, man?
Man, just shout out to all the gang at the Brooklyn Pop and all the cast and crew at Brooklyn Dream. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We just wrapped for the summer. Have a blast. Really performing in this show. It's pretty dope. I got to say, it gave me a newfound love for the arts, so to speak. Because for a minute there, I was I'm pretty burnt out, man. I did a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? So just kind of just enjoying my land now, enjoying fishing, enjoying my wife and my family. And I just want to shout them out. Shout out my wife. Shout out Jesus Christ first and foremost. That's really, that's it for me. I mean, and everybody along the way, whoever I warred with, whoever I got love for, whoever hates me, whoever loves me, whoever don't give a shit. I don't care either. That's cool. It's mutual. And that's it, man. I just got zest for life, man. And shout out to you, Paul Masson, for reaching out and
Yep.
hooking it up. I appreciate it, man. I really do.
Well, you're more than welcome. You a friend of the show now, and try to link me up with the other guys as well too, so we can see if we can have some of them on as well.
Absolutely, no doubt. I'll send you some music and shit like that. That's another thing too. Like I've been like so many years of sending people so much shit. I feel like people don't want to hear, this fucking guy sending me more shit. But you're a music fan, so I'll send you a
Yeah.
bunch of shit, man. I'm sure you could appreciate it. Some rare gems and whatnot.
And we do live music reviews every Saturday too. So tomorrow we do music reviews.
I dope, yeah. But you got SoundCloud? Because I
No,
hear
but
now that
I mean, I do
okay, you
got
know what I
SoundCloud,
do?
but the reviews are done via MP3 usually.
All right. Well, the only reason why I say that about SoundCloud is because I got like all kinds of work on there, and I understand now if I sent it to you and you don't have it, you can't open it. Like
Yeah.
that's what a lot of people that I send stuff to. They're like, oh, I can't open it. I don't have SoundCloud. So I heard that they took away that feature. It used to be I could send it to you and you'd be able to open it up. But yeah, I mean, I don't care about
They
any
might have made
reviews
some
or anything like
changes.
that.
Yeah, they might have made some changes. I think that only applies to certain accounts, though. I don't know.
All right, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't care really about reviews or whatnot. I'd rather
Okay,
you hear it
just send it
because I
over.
know
Yeah,
you
just
like.
send it over.
Yeah. I send you shit. If you want to put some shit up there or play it or do whatever you want to do with it, you got my blessings, man. As long as you enjoy it, that's all. I'm all about giving music to people that appreciate it and enjoy it, not because they want something out of it. You know what I mean? So I feel like you passed the smell test for that. You enjoy music. You let listen to it. So I don't mind sending shit to you. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely.
Yeah, you see my interview resume. I done interviewed a lot of cats from the '90s,
Yeah.
a lot of Brooklyn cats.
Shout out. I saw one thing you got Brooklyn to Queens. You know, I want to say Brooklyn all day, right? But shout out to Queens. Queens get the money, man. It's crazy. I
Oh,
did a lot of work with a lot of Queens cats in my later tenure. Shout out everybody from Queens. Shout out to B Nuts. Shout out Cole Heat. Shout out OC. Shout out Craig G. Shout out everybody from Queens that makes money, man. You know, Queens get the money. Shout out. We used to be a thing, man. Not anymore, man. We're all grown ups now, man. Shout out all the five boroughs doing their thing, man. If you're still doing it, man, shout out, man. You're better than me.
you know, DV alias Christ.
Hell yeah. He knows that little B crew. I was a big
We were
fan.
talking.
Him
We
and
were talking
Trigger the
about you the other
Gambler.
day. We were talking about you the other day. I was telling you I was gonna have you on. He said, "Yeah, they from the like Little Italy side," but he was saying that Queens
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
cats
yeah.
actually get more money. He said Queens cats get more money than all the boroughs.
He may be right about that. You know what I mean? I don't want to mess up nobody's flow. Get your money any way you can, right? Fuck it.
Yeah,
Shout out to alias Christ. Yo, that was a banger. He still got
yeah,
bangers. He's had
yeah.
bangers.
Oh
Shout
yeah,
out
no,
my
he
king.
got bangers. He got bangers
Hell
over there,
yeah.
yo.
Hell yeah. No doubt.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time out. You're a friend of the show. You're more than welcome to come back on
Thank you,
anytime,
man.
man.
Absolutely, man. And likewise, and friends do what friends do. I'm going to be shouting out your shit. I'll be reposting it and all of that. All kinds of stuff, whether it's me or not.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
You got it, my brother.
Enjoy your
Anytime.
night, though, man.
You too. Enjoy the weekend, man. Have a happy 4th. God
All
bless
right.
America. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
You got it.
Peace.
Peace.
All right. Well, we about to wrap up another interview. That's Paulie Nugent, aka Paulie 2 times from Lords of Brooklyn. If you a hip hop head like me, you should know who Lords of Brooklyn is. There wasn't a lot of white rap groups out back then. Like he said, you had Beasties, you had House of Pain, you had Third Base, but even Third Base wasn't really an all white group because they had DJ Daddy Rich was part of Third Base. And House of Pain pretty much was Beastie Boys, but then you had Lords of Brooklyn, man. And I just remember get the album cover. They looked like they were mobbed up. They looked like some straight up wise guys on the front cover. And I never seen no dudes that looked like wise guys that were rapping, man. So we ended up getting it, man, and we was a fan. We was a fan. I think the only other group that was out around that time that I remember was like Mad Flavor out of like Dallas, Texas. So it was like Mad Flavor and Lords of Brooklyn. But yeah, that's the thing I love about this podcast is I get to interview people that I grew up copping the albums back in the days, grew up becoming a fan to, listening to, having some sort of respect for, and most people don't get to do that. Most people don't get to interview and build relationships with people they grew up listening to or admiring from any kind of business. You know, it's not like people get to interview like all the athletes that they grew up loving, or they get to interview all the movie stars that they grew up loving. You know, so I actually get to kind of like fulfill my dreams every time I do these interviews because I get to interview people that I grew up listening to, and you know, it's almost looking back on it, it is like a dream come true. Even if I don't like make a lot of money off of it or something like that, most people don't get the opportunity to just, you know, build relationships and interview people that they pretty much grew up listening to in the music business. And I've interviewed a lot of people that I've grew up listening to. But we about to wrap it up. We got the BKFC tonight, bare knuckle. Next week, I think we got a Pawnee B Fly, female rapper, Pawnee B Fly. If you know underground hip hop, you should know Pawnee B Fly. We got her next week. Also, go follow the Paul Pickett podcast. We got a couple bare knuckle fight interviews. Well, one bare knuckle fight interview and a MMA fight interview coming up as well. We got Britton Hart, BKFC strawweight for BKFC. We got her next Wednesday, and we got Crafton. I think it's Crafton Wallace. I want to make sure I got his name right. It is Crafton Wallace. Yeah, we got Crafton Wallace. He fought in the UFC before, MMA guy out of Florida. So that's our combat sports, MMA, and bare knuckle interviews next week. And then also, like I said, we got a Potty Be Fly. And I'm working on some other interviews as well. Working on trying to get maybe some couple of them Junior Mafia cats. I got to follow up with Louisville Slugger from OGC, one of my favorite groups of all time. And there's a few other people I have to follow up with as well and lock in some dates. And I got to reschedule the interview with Little Cy, John Robinson, aka Little Cy from Science of Life as well. They did a lot of work with MF Doom back in the days. All right, we about to wrap it up. I'm about to go make me some dizzle. Don't forget, matter of fact, before we go, let's give you a word from Chip Fu, and then we about to wrap it up.
Tropical drink.
Me and my team, whenever we link up, they wanna be drink up. We sit down, relax and have few glasses when there's things to think about. Like I'm nice with the boss when I tend to the bars and I'm not talking drink puffs. So tell the bartender that tend to the bar to please pass me a big cup up. And tell that waitress is waiting on us to put a little ice in it. Now watch the ice become weightless like the spaceships that I be sitting in. Now wait and listen, they're waiting for that tropical twist that'll kick and get taste buds. Now taste some. Yo, I insist it's the drizzle.
That's right. I really mean it. You could dizzle too. Dizzle is a premium luxury liqueur mixed with agave tequila, cognac, and orange liquor mango mix. Throw your dizzle on ice and it's nice. Want to order your very own bottle or bottles? Go to dizzlebrand.com. All right, about to wrap it up. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Shouts out to Wanting Habits. Thomas, appreciate you. Even though whistling's whistling. I know whistling is whistling, Thomas, but why the fuck do you always whistling? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Why are you always commenting whistling, man? Appreciate Wanting Habits to be on there tomorrow with me in live music reviews at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace, and I'm out.